You know, your zip code, it's more than just 5 numbers on a letter, right? It actually tells a story, a really detailed story about a place and the people who live there. So let's dive in and use data to decode what's really going on in one specific community.
All right, so our story kicks off down in South Florida. We're zeroing in on this area right here, which covers parts of Davie and Cooper City. And yeah, at first glance, it's just a map, but trust me, underneath that simple outline, there's this incredible layer of data that tells a way bigger story.
So that begs the question, right? What does it really mean to live here? Like, what's the vibe of this community? Who are the people? What are they making? What do they care about? We're going to peel back the layers, one by one, and see what the numbers can tell us about the folks who call this place home.
Okay, first things first. Let's start with the big top-line numbers. Think of these as the basic stats, the foundation that gives us a bird's-eye view of the whole community before we get into the nitty-gritty.
So population-wise, we're talking about a community of just under 29,000 people. That's a pretty solid size for a suburban area, definitely not a huge, sprawling city.
Next up, the median age is sitting right around 40.2. Now, what that tells me is we're likely looking at an area with established adults, probably a lot of families, which usually points to a really vibrant and stable community.
And check this out. The median household income is almost $120,000. So yeah, it's pretty clear this is a fairly well-off area. Just those 3 numbers, population, age, and income, they already start to paint a surprisingly clear picture, don't they?
But, you know, those basic numbers, that's just the beginning. The really cool part, for me anyway, is when data analysts start grouping people into these different lifestyle profiles. This is where we go from a sketch to a full-color painting.
So there's this concept called tapestry segmentation, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Just think of it like weaving together a bunch of different threads, where people live, their income, their habits, their preferences, to create these really detailed personas. It's how you turn cold, hard data into a real human story.
And boom, here's the tapestry for zip code 33328. You can see the top 5 lifestyles right here in this chart. And look at that biggest slice of the pie. Over a quarter of all households fall into a group they call savvy suburbanites. So let's zoom in on them. Who are these people?
All right, so savvy suburbanites. What does that even mean? Well, the data profile paints a picture of established families, maybe with older kids, or they could even be empty nesters. They're well-educated, financially comfortable, and living in those classic, desirable suburban neighborhoods.
And let's get into the specifics because they're pretty telling. A whopping 91% of them are homeowners. Over half are college grads. They're also really informed shoppers. They're using technology, they're doing their research before they buy anything. And interestingly, they're not afraid of debt. They're comfortable using mortgages and credit to build the lifestyle they want.
You see, it's not just about the money in the bank. It's about a whole lifestyle. These folks invest heavily in their homes. We're talking DIY projects, hiring contractors, the whole 9 yards. And their free time? It's filled with things like cooking, maybe some golf or skiing, and they definitely make a point to get out and enjoy the cultural events the city has to offer.
But here's the thing. No zip code is just one type of person. It's never a monolith. To really see that diversity, let's compare our main group, the savvy suburbanites, with the second biggest group, Emerald City. And just look at the difference in homeownership. It's huge. While the suburbanites are almost all homeowners, only about half of the Emerald City folks are. They tend to be a bit younger, more on the move, and way more likely to be renting. And that kind of diversity in lifestyle, that totally shapes the look and feel of a place.
So you can start to see how this all connects, right? These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They translate directly into the physical world, into the actual landscape of a community. We're talking about the types of houses you see, the cars parked in the driveways, and even the dreams of the people living inside those homes. Okay, this all leads to a really important question. I mean, it's great to have all this data, but so what? How is it actually used? How does it go from being interesting information to a practical tool that actually helps people? Think about it. When you're making one of the biggest decisions of your entire life, like buying a house, you need someone who gets it. Not just someone who understands the market, but someone who understands the people in it. You need an expert who can take all this complex data and translate it into simple, real-world advice. And that is where a local expert comes in. Let me introduce you to Jeannie Castor-Brumfield. She's a realtor working right in this area, and for a pro like her, understanding all this neighborhood data isn't just some fun fact-finding mission. Nope, it is the absolute core of her job. I mean, just look at how she's described. Her profile calls her a local guru, a negotiation ninja, and someone who creates a stress-free zone. That is the human touch that brings all this data to life. She's the one who knows exactly which street has that savvy suburbanite vibe, and which neighborhood might be the perfect fit for someone from the Emerald City group who's looking to rent.
And if you want proof, just listen to this. A client said she was super patient with us and our champagne and caviar dreams on a limited budget. I love that. It just perfectly captures the real challenge, right? Matching someone's biggest dreams with the reality of the market. And to do that, you have to deeply understand both the people and the data.
Or how about this one? An out-of-town client said they relied on her completely to screen and view homes for them. That just speaks volumes about the kind of trust that gets built when an expert can literally be your eyes and ears on the ground. They're guided by this deep, sophisticated understanding of the community. And that's something that, honestly, data alone just can't give you.
All right, let's pull back and look at the bigger picture here. We've gone super deep on one single zip code, but what this all means is so much broader.
The big takeaway really is that this kind of data storytelling, it's happening everywhere, for every single zip code. It's being used by businesses, by city planners, and, like we just saw, by real estate pros to understand that unique tapestry that makes up every single community out there.
So from a bustling downtown to the quietest suburban street, every single place we call home is really just a collection of data points. And when you weave all those points together, they tell a totally unique and compelling story about the people who live there.
And that kind of brings us full circle to a final thought. What about where you live? If you could decode the data for your own neighborhood, what kind of lifestyle segments would pop up? What kind of story would it tell about you and about your neighbors? It's a pretty fascinating way to think about the places we all call home, isn't it?